Good, so let's start. If you have the Photoshop installed, or if you don't, but those who have, I think it's time to open Photoshop. I will share my screen now, and let's start. You know something, let me tell you something about this tool. You will see that now I'm sharing my screen, and when you share your screen with somebody, with everybody, you have an option that allows me as Flavio right here to go into your Photoshop and start to work with the tools from your software, you know? And that is a great tool when, let's say, you will teach somebody to do design, you can work into his artwork, straight into his artwork, because this tool, Zoom tool, is allowing you this. But anyway, so I will share my screen right now. Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about me, because I said that I will have a short intro. So, I work as a designer and an artist. I have 50% designer life, and the other half is artist. And this was because maybe I was not so successful as an artist, and I always had to have a job. So I worked as a designer in big companies here in Romania and also in Denmark once. I had a job in Denmark. And what can I say? I work in Photoshop since 2003, and there are a lot of changes in time with this software, but basically it's the same thing, because it's just about image making and working with some typography. I will not tell you about prices and stuff like that, because they are not relevant, but I just tell you that I have some experience in this. I also have a course, design course here in Romania, and I also have a painting course, but we are making them right here. But now with the situation with the virus, I will really start to go online with these courses, but it will take me a little bit of time to film everything and put it in place. But anyway, so let's go inside Photoshop. I will share my screen right now, guys. Okay. And I have my Photoshop open. This is an old Facebook cover event, but I will close it and I will start to make a new document, and then after I make the new document, I will present you the software a little bit. There are some sections here that you will use all the time. My English is, I'm a little bit, I communicate a little bit harder in English, but anyway, I will get used to it. So there are some sections to this software that you will use more when you work. So I will put an emphasis on those parts, but let me close this one. Okay, and now, this is how Photoshop, let me close the software entirely. So I go here at start and I press PS. This is the icon for Photoshop. The other one is Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere, and stuff like that, but we will use today Photoshop. So, we are opening it, and then we have to set a new document in Photoshop. So how do I set a new document? I go here, up in this menu, I press File, and the first option that I have is New. So this is how I make a new document. So I have this window right here, and here in this window is the place where I make all the settings for this document. So as you can see right here, there is a menu with some words. One is photo, the other one is print, art, illustration, web. Those words are referring to the type of image that you are planning to make. So if you are making a banner that will be printed, you will make a document that is becoming a banner and you will print it, definitely you have here some presets. If you press print, they are giving you already some image formats with sizes and stuff like that. But today we will go and we will edit our own document. So the Facebook event cover photo has a few sizes, standard sizes, and I am using one of them. So look, we are interested to look in this part of the window. Right here we are setting the title for the image, and let's say, yeah, today I plan to make a cover photo for an imaginary event that I called Prana Yoga course for couples. So I just imagined an event, and let's say that I'm making this cover photo for this course, which is Prana Yoga course for couples. So I will just I will start to type the name, and I will say Prana Yoga, and then I will put an underline right there, and I will say course. Yeah, I will not write the entire title, and I will make another underline, and I will say Facebook cover. Good. Then we have this, I don't know how to call those in English, but we have these places where we set the size. As you can see, we have width and height, and this is referring to the width and height. So the standard size that I'm using for a photo cover photo, for an event cover photo, it will be, as you can see right here, it is written centimeters, but you can choose pixels, let's say, because if you search on the internet the standard size for a Facebook event cover photo, they will give you some sizes, and those will be in pixels units. So I will choose right here pixels. You can also choose centimeters, millimeters, points, but let's go with pixels. And the standard width of this type of document will be 2048 pixels. And then the height will be 1109. Oops. Yeah. So as we can see with this small icon that is highlighted, the software is showing me that I'm building an image that is horizontal. If you want to make it vertical, you just have to press this icon, and then the software will switch the value of the size of this document, but I will stay on the horizontal. Right here I don't press anything. So now I will talk a little bit about the resolution. All the documents or the images that you are making and that will go in online, I mean all the images for online will never have resolution more than 72, because there is no use for them. Because, for example, if I will have a better resolution right here, let's say 300, which is the standard for print, when I will upload it on Facebook, Facebook will reduce this resolution anyway. I mean, Facebook is making images smaller when you upload them. So 72 right here is perfect. And then for the color mode, I recommend you to go with RGB. I'm not explaining to you right now why, but just go with RGB, because this is the color system which is best for online. And then after we set the name, the sizes, and the resolution and color mode, we just press create. And look what I have. I have an empty document which is which will become my cover photo. So now let me show you a little bit this Photoshop stuff. So this is how Photoshop looks like when it's open, and we have all kind of menus and icons. When you will start working in Photoshop with basic stuff, the main tools that you will use, you can find them right here. You see, there is this toolbar with the basic tools while you are creating your visual. So they are doing all kinds of things. For example, if I go to this T, that means if I press this one and I go into my page right here on the white canvas, I can type text, you see, but right now my text it's too small, so let's make it bigger. To be able to make it bigger, I have to select this text with Ctrl A or Command A. If you have an iMac or Apple, it will be Command A. If you have Windows, it will be Ctrl A. So I press Ctrl A, I selected my text, and while my T is pressed right here in the menu, I have a second menu up here with some settings that refers to the text. So if I go right here, you see the double T, the small one and the big one. This is the place where I can change the size. So if I press on this arrow, I have some preset sizes, and I will go for 72. And my text became bigger, you see? Now, as you can see, my text is not in the right place. I mean, I have to move it a little bit. And before I will move it, I was right here on the T. But if I press T now, it will just start another text. So I have to get out from this tool. That means I will have to go right here at the Move tool. This is somehow the tool that you are handling the objects into your page with. So I go and I press it. You can press also V on your keyboard to go to this tool. And now I'm coming right here and I can move the objects, you see? So this is just one thing that you can make with tools from the toolbar. I just chose to make some text, but you also can go right here, for example. You see, this is the rectangle tool. I go, I press it, and then to be able to see the rectangle tools, I have to go right here in this color panel, let's say, and double click and change the color. Choose a color from this panel, you see? And let's say that green might work. I will say OK. And now the rectangle tool is pressed and I go into my page and I'm just, how do you say, when you keep the, I don't know how to say it in English, but you press it and you drag, you see? And the first rectangle came into shape on my page. Let's make another one. So I press and I'm keeping the mouse pressed and then I drag. And when I'm okay with the shape that it's forming, I will just let it go. So this is how I'm making more shapes. For example, if I want to change the color of one of the shapes that I made, I have to go back to Move tool right here. So now I can put the hand on each of the rectangle tools that I made. So I want to change the color of this one, let's say. of this one. I go right here, when this one is pressed, selected, I go right here and I double click it and I change the color and I say okay. Oh, but it didn't change, so I'm sorry guys, I was mistaken. I'm going right here in the right and you choose another color. Or let me show you something else. You go right here, do you see? This is the layer part. So let me explain a little bit about the layers before I'm doing too many things. Another very important part of this software, I told you that this one is the toolbar. So every object that you are building on the page, it's recorded somehow into the layer section. And this layer section actually has all the tools that you made. So if I want to make one of the shapes invisible, I press right here, you see, on this eye, and it disappears. If I want to delete entirely this shape, I can go and select this layer and just press delete. But now I don't have it anymore. With the other option, when I was just clicking on this eye, I was making it invisible. Can you follow me, guys? Good. So this is the selection, no, the layer section where I have this object, the text, I have all the shapes that I made, so they are one on top of each other. Let's say, you see, right now this text is under the shape, under the green shape. If I want to put the text on top of it, I come here to the layer section, I identify it. You see, because this one it's selected, so you can see it differently from the others, and I just go and drag it up to put it on top of the other layer. You see? Did you understand this? No? So let me go back. Right here I have the text, right? And I can see that my text is under this green square or rectangle. So if I'm touching the rectangle, I see it selected right here in the layer section. Do you see? Did you see? And then if I press the text, the selection goes to another layer. You see? This one. If I press to the other text, it goes one layer up. You see? Yes. So, if I want to put this layer on top of this one, I go right here at the layer section and I press it and I keep it with my mouse and drag it up on top of all the shapes. And now this one is the first layer that I have. All the others are under this one. You see, if I move this text, is on top of everything. So how about changing the color to this text, if I want to make it? Let me see something here. Good. People are saying they got it, a few. Good. So, let's change the color of this text, for example. If I want to change the color of this text, I'm going to the layer section. This is just one way, and it's the most simple way. I go here, and you see, if I press the I, it disappears. I press it again, it appears again. If I press right here on the text, on the layer surface, and I make a double click, I can change the name of it, and I will say this is text with the name flower, let's say, and I press enter. Good. And if I want to change the color, I go right here on this perimeter where it's this T, and I press double click on the T. And now this is selected, or I can select it with Ctrl A. And then I have here on top the menu where I can change the size, and then I can change the type of paragraph. I can change the type of font, or I can change right here the color. So I go and I choose another color, and I just press OK. And then I have to go up here and just to press that, I don't know how to call that. It's yeah, something. How? Sorry? Yeah. So I just have to press that to let the software that I agree with the changes that I make. So I just press it. Okay, so we have it now. Good. So let me see how to, now I will show you how to change the type of font that I'm using. Right now, I have this font, which is, let's find out. To find out what type of font do I have here, I have to go into the editing mode again. So how do I do it? I press T right here on the toolbar, or I can press on the keyboard T, and it's coming. And now I select it, and as you can see, when this is selected and it's on the editing mode, I have a different menu right here. So every time I'm pressing right here another kind of tool, this sub-menu of Photoshop will have different things that refer to the type of action that this tool that I'm choosing is doing. Or yeah, I don't know if I... So let me say it again. So I am in the toolbar. So if I go to the text tool, this part of Photoshop, which is a sub-menu, it's an area where the menu will change a lot, is referring to the text. If I go to the eraser tool, which is this one, now I will have the settings of the eraser tool right here. I have opacity, I have flow, I have smoothing. Now if I'm going to the brush tool, I will press it. Right here I will have another kind of settings. So all the time in this area of Photoshop, I will have the type of settings or the menu that refer to the tool that I am on right here. So if I want to go to the type tool right here and I click on the text, I say Ctrl A to select it. Now I want to change the type of font, and as you can see right here on the left, I have all the fonts that I have installed into my software. And when I'm going with the mouse on top of each one, the software will change the text with the font that it's under my mouse. So let's say I'm choosing this one, and now I want to write something. I will select it again, Ctrl A, and I will say Flavio or something, I don't know, Prana Yoga. Good. So did you get it a little bit, this part with the text tool? Good. Now let me tell you a little bit. So let me say it again. You see, there is a upper menu here in Photoshop that refers to a lot of things. Photoshop is quite complex, but to make it simple at the beginning, when you make a photo cover, there are two things to keep in your mind. First of all, you need a visual. I mean, let's say if it's about yoga, you need a picture with somebody who's doing yoga, or you need an illustration with somebody that's doing yoga, or you need the visual part to grab attention from people when you are in online, and then you need the text part, I mean the copy. This is how we say it in design. The text part that informs the people about the event. So first of all, you are taking care of an image that can be a photography, can be an illustration, can be whatever kind of an image, but that image has to speak about your event. So you will never use a football, I don't know, picture with football players when you are promoting prana yoga. Because definitely you will use an image that has to do with the subject. It has to do something with the subject. So in this case, I will use an image with two people that are doing yoga into their studio, let's say. Because my course is referring to prana yoga for couples. So now, when I have this event that I'm planning to make in my head, prana yoga for couples, course for couples. Now, when it's about the text part, we have to identify which is the main title of the event. Because that would be the text that has to be the biggest. I mean, you have to have a title which is big and bold and strong, but the kind of the font or the way this title looks in posters or Facebook cover events, it also has to do, it has to have to do a little bit with the type of, with the style of the event that you are promoting. For example, if you make let's say a Facebook cover photo for a heavy metal concert, definitely you will choose a stronger and crazier font than this one, you see. This one is too elegant, it's too soft to say Metallica or to say something strong. So you will have to go right here again. Yeah, let me just move this because you don't see it, but I have the window with your windows, and I'm not seeing my artwork very well. So let's say if we are making a rock concert, I will just select my text and I go up here and I will find something more crazy. I mean, yeah, I don't have heavy metal type of fonts, but I will use something more stronger. I mean, something stronger. Yeah, let's say that this one would work. So, you see, I changed the type of font. Let me tell you a little bit about the fonts. How do you get these fonts into your computer? When you buy a computer and you install Windows or iOS, or I don't know how it's called, the software for Mac, you will have by default some kind of fonts, type of fonts installed. But you as a designer, after this, you will have to find others and install some more. And if you want, I can show you very quickly how to find the font and install it. And then you will find it right here. Then automatically will appear right here if you just install it. You see? These are all my fonts. And I have all kinds of styles for these fonts. Let me show you one which is, yeah, this one is like a handwritten font. It's, I don't know, it's another style. So you see, with the type of font that you are using, you are making 50% of that design. Now, if we have a nice picture in the background and we make this prana yoga bigger, let me do it like this. How do I make this bigger? I can do it in two ways. I can select it and go up here and change the value, let's say 200 pixels, or to be more obvious, I will put 400. Or another way to make it is to go here on Move tool, press it, and as you can see, I have some controls. I don't know how to call this in English, but if I go right here in the corner of this control lines, I have these arrows which are at the 45 degrees angle. So if I press Shift on the keyboard and I keep it pressed and I go up or down or up, I change the size of the text. If I would not press Shift on the keyboard, I could do this, you see? The transformation would be free, and I would change the proportion of the text in such a way that can be wrong. So when I'm working with text and I make it big or small, I'm never allowed to change the proportion of the text. That is a wrong thing to do as a designer. So that's why I have to press Shift all the time. You see, immediately after I pressed Shift, the text came into the original form, you see? And then I move it like this or like that. So this is a way to change the size. Did everybody get what I said already? Good. So, I was telling you about the fact that, a key visual is image, not key visual, cover photo means image, and then the text that informs. So now I will go further a little bit, and I will show you how to find the font on the internet. Let's go on the internet. And I will just press a new tab, and there are some websites that you can find very easily on Google. If you just press fonts in Google, you will find those websites because they are the most. But I will go on Da Font, which is a website that I'm using sometimes, and I have here all kinds of fonts, you see, and they give you an insight about the way it looks. Let's take this one, which is Thalia font. If I go to the right, I have the download button. I press it, and immediately here in my bar I see that I downloaded this font, and now I'm going right click, show in folder, and right here it's my Thalia font. I just take it from here with right click and then cut, and I go in cover photos, because all the time when I'm making a new design, in that folder of the new subject that I'm making the design for, I will have a few things. For example, I said before going into this meeting, I was searching on the internet a few images that has to do with this subject. So I have the folder with the images, you see? And I have here all kinds of things. But you also have to create a folder with the fonts that you are downloading for that type of visual that you are making. Maybe you will not do this all the time, but most of the times I do this. If I'm working for a construction, I don't know, if I'm making a design for a construction company, I will go on Google and I will find the proper fonts for that kind of style. So I will download the font, I'm creating new folder, and I will say fonts, enter. I will just paste here the font Thalia, and right now I see that it's a zipped, it's a compressed document. So I have to take it out from the compression. I click right, and right here we have 7-zip, which is the tool that I'm uncompressing the file, and I will say extract here. So this is the document that is actually the actual font that I downloaded. So I double click on it, and it appears this window, which is a window where this font is presented on many sizes. And if you can see up here, you have two buttons, or yeah, I don't know how exactly to call this, two tabs. One is print and the other one is install. If I press install, now my Windows has this font, I can close it, and if I go in my Photoshop right here, let's use the Thalia font right now. I select the text and I go up here where I have all my fonts and I say Thalia, and the first one that comes in the list, it's Thalia regular that I just downloaded, and now I have to press this, I don't know how to call that, and as you can see we have the font. Good. Now let's go further because we have another 20 minutes, but we can stay until I will finish. Now
Can I interrupt you for a bit?
Sorry?
Can I interrupt you for a bit?
Of course.
I was wondering, does fonts have copyrights?
Well,
Are they free?
this website, it's a website where you find only free fonts. But look what it's written right here. It's free for personal use. If you are using it for commercial stuff, they can catch you and they say you have to pay for it because you are using it for... But mostly on this website, so if you want to find free fonts, you will just type like this, free fonts. And then everything what's coming, you see the second option here is the font. All the fonts on the font, they are free. But they have the mentioning that if you are using this for personal use, it's free. But believe me, all the designers in the world are using them for commercial stuff. And only if you work, let's say, for Coca-Cola or for a big brand, and you will yeah. So if you are some words are not coming out anyway. If you tell them let's use a free font, they will tell you, man, I think it's dangerous because this is for commercial stuff. But the big companies in general have their own fonts that you can use. So you will be forced to use those because you can't use anything. But for you as a designer, promoting a small thing, it will never be a problem. And you also can find paid fonts, and you can, how should I say, find the crack version. I mean, you can download them in some ways. Yeah. But these are free fonts. So now, let's make that cover photo with the person and stuff like that. Now, what do I have to do? Let me see. Because we talked a little bit about the two parts of a cover photo, which is image and then text. And now I have to import the image into my document. Now I will erase this. Let me show you how I will erase all of these things. So, I created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 objects. I have them all right here. Now to get rid of them, I will just push my move tool outside of their perimeter, I don't know, and then grab the selection tool on top of all of them. You see? Now they are all selected, and I press delete and they are gone. Now I'm importing the image. Let's say I'm choosing an image from my folder with the people that are making yoga. So I go up here at File, and I will say this time not a new document, because I want to import the images in this document. So I will just say Open. And this is taking me to the window where I have a lot of stuff. Actually, this is taking me into my computer. So I will go right here to Work 2020. and I created a folder especially for this event, and I will say Photoshop workshop, blah blah blah. And now I have to open an image, and usually I work with two kind of images, which is JPEG image and then PNG image, and I will explain you in a bit about both of them. And I found a good image right here with two guys that are making yoga, and I just press open right here. So I selected it and then I press open, and it's opening into another document, you see? So where is my empty document? Do you see this part of Photoshop right here, where I have two tabs? If I press on this tab, it's the other document that I created, and if I press this one, it's my picture. So to put this picture into this one, I will just do like this. I will grab this tab and I will put it like this, and then I just keep in mind that I am on the move tool, which is, this tool is the most used tool while you are working. So keep that in mind, and on the keyboard this is the key V. You press V and you go back to the move tool. So to put this image into my document, I will just press it, keep it pressed and drag. And I will just leave it there, you see? And now, if I want to get rid of this, I will just grab it from up here, not from here, because nothing is happening, on up here, you see? I can move this window from there. And I just put it in that area of the bar, you see? And Photoshop, it's becoming magnetic right now, and if I leave it, it's going up there into that menu again. So now I have to go back to my document, and I have the image, you see? So this is a thing, this is the same thing, you see? So you have to get used with this move also, because sometimes maybe you press something and things disappear. This is a good thing to know, that you can, if I have, let's say, 10 pictures open in Photoshop, they will open as a separate document, and they will appear as tabs right here. So now I am in my document. So I have this image with these two guys that are making yoga, and let's say I would like to make this image bigger. So how do I do it? Let me tell you some things. If you have Photoshop and it's open, before doing anything in Photoshop, you have to make two settings which are very, very important to be able to move easy with the objects here in Photoshop. You see that when I'm pressing on the image, some squares and pointed line appears to the contour of every object that I'm pressing. To be able to have that all the time, you have to press right at the beginning this Show Transform Controls button. You see up here, if I'm deselecting that, look, I'm touching my image and I don't even know that I touched my image. I can move it, but nobody's showing me that this object is touched. And if I have more objects, this setting is very useful, because while you press on one object, that would appear as selected. So that is very, very important. So I go here and press it. And the other thing, very important, is right here. This setting, if it's pressed, every time I'm touching an object into my page, while it gets selected here in the page, in the same time it becomes selected also in this part of the layer. So I will show you this again. So these two things must be pressed from the beginning when you start working with Photoshop, because those will help you a lot. Good. Now I want to make this picture bigger. So I go here in the corner of the picture, and when these 45 angle arrows are appearing, that means I'm ready to transform the size. But I have to press Shift to transform it and keeping the the right proportions of the image. And I see that I have some white space that remains right here. Then I will decide to go with some more, to increase the size a little bit, to have it on the full screen. So I press this now, okay. And now on top of this I will put some text. But maybe I want to put the text on top of a shape to be able to highlight it better. So, but let's write the text first. So, let me show you what text do I have. First, I will write the title. I go to T and I just press it and I will say Prana Yoga. Good. This type of font looks okay for a kind of a subject like this, but it's not very visible, so I will change it. I press Ctrl A to select it. Then I go up here to the color palette and let me choose another color. Let me tell you something. You see, now you are in the color picker panel. But if you move this thing, you can change the color, you see? First I'm moving this bar with the colors, and then I'm going more exact with the color right here. But if I want to grab a color from my picture, I will just have to go out of the perimeter of this window, and immediately my mouse, or how should I say, it's changing into a color picker. So if I press on this woman pants, I will grab the color from her pants. If I push right here on this green thing, I will have the green from that surface. If I push it on his skin, I take a sample of the color from his skin, you see? So if I take color from outside of this box, I can choose whatever color I have here. But none of these colors satisfies me, so I will just choose a more intense one that I have. And then okay. And I press OK. Let's say that this is the good color that I have. And then I want to make this bigger, so I will... Guys, if you have questions, if you lose me at some point, just stop me and ask me to repeat the action. Okay. You know, I like something about this picture that I have in the background, but the thing that bothers me, it's the garage feeling that they have there. So I would try a little bit to get rid of that background, garage background. So how do I do that? I just want to go a little bit on the white area. I mean, to put some white on top of that part of the garage. So if I go right here to the brush tool, which is like a brush, I press it and I see that, you see, I have a circle which indicates the size of the brush that I have. And then if I press, I have a rounded dot with the color that I had here. to be able to get rid of this dot, I press Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, okay, and I go here and I set the white color and I press OK. But still, if I press once, I don't like the softness of that brush. So I can make some settings for it to look better, I mean to spread the white in a different way. So I press Ctrl Z to go back, and if I click right on my mouse, some very little settings are coming out for this brush, you see? And right here I have hardness, and in the first part it was on the right, I just take it to the left, and now if I press it again, I can see that the white that is spread on the picture has a kind of a blurry way. So if I click right again, this hardness refers exactly to this thing, you see? So I just go for the very little hardness. And then if maybe, let's say this white paint that I put here on the picture is too strong, I can reduce the opacity a little bit. So now you see I am on the brush and I have this part in the Photoshop, which is the menu that refers to each of these tools, and now all of this refers to the brush, and I have right here opacity. I go and I change the opacity to 43, let's say, and now when I'm pressing, the white is not so powerful anymore. So I can go little by little and just take that garage out of my... If I go right here on the right, you see I have this cluster of icons, and this one looks very similar with the brush one right here. But you look, something very good to know. If you keep your mouse on top of a tool for a few seconds, immediately this name of the tool will appear. So if I do the same right here, I have the name of, or the meaning of that icon. So right here it says brush settings. That will mean if I push this one, I will have some more brush settings. And you don't have to know this today, but I will just, how do I say, click on these things, because there are some things that bother me right here. So now if I press my brush, it's more fluid. So I just go and little by little I add the white into the background until I get rid of the feeling of garage. So let me tell you something. Now if I want to get closer to the image, how do I do it? Did you hear about zoom in, zoom out? Right? If I want to zoom in the image, I will push on my keyboard Ctrl plus. You see? But now I can't reach the areas that I want to work on. So how do I do it? If I press space for a few seconds, when space is pressed, my tool is changing into a hand. Look, you see? So now if I'm clicking on the image with this tool activated, I can move my image. And when I take my hand from the space, it goes back to the brush, because this is what was activated right here in the toolbar. So you see? Now I want to go a little bit zoom out. Control minus, control minus, yeah. So I just take out more of the white stuff, because I want to have somehow a cleaner feeling. Yeah, like that. And now I'm going back to the brush and I just erase. Click right a little bit to enhance the size of the brush. And then I'm erasing little by little. And when I'm getting closer to the hands of the characters, I'm being careful not to erase their hands. So I will just go with this look right here. I take this out also. And if I want to be a little bit more exact, Ctrl plus to zoom in. I click right to make the brush a little bit smaller, and I can do this with the more precision. Yeah, I don't like this part also, but let me show you something. If you have a lot of patience and you want to get rid of the entire background of these two characters, you can click right, make the brush smaller, and then go here to hardness and you make it hard, you see? And then you go here to the opacity and make 100% opacity, and then you can erase it like that. But you have to be patient. And this is the beginner mode of getting rid of this background. There are other ways that are more exact, but I will not show you today that part because it will take us too long. So let me go back to the settings that I had here and erase it in this raw style that I'm doing. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Okay. Is there anybody there? I mean, is anybody there? Because I don't see you very good. Yes. Yeah.
Maybe you should set your workspace to essentials so the tools will be the right place for other people that are just starting Photoshop.
Yeah, that's true. Let me show you how to. So, guys, depending on the type of design that you are making, another setting that you do when you prepare your artboard or workspace is the type of workspace. They give you different arrangements of these tools according to the type of design that you are making. So if you go right here, up here in window, you have workspace and you have here a few options. Now I am on graphic and web design, but if you press essentials, things will change a little bit. But I'm going back to my settings because, yeah, I don't know. This is how I work. But it's a good suggestion. This will, I will talk a little bit more in another part because there are so many things to be said about Photoshop, so I can't cover everything. But thank you very much. Flavio, it was you that gave me?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. Good, so let's say that I edited my image enough, and now maybe I want to put a mandala on it. And I saved some mandala into my computer, but I think I will quit this part because it will get too complex, and now I will just take care of creating the text part. So let's say Prana Yoga is the main title and the subtitle is Course for Couples. So I will change this font because I don't like it. I will go and put, let's say, yeah, let me see. This is Futura font. No. Yeah, it's okay like that. Oh. I go here and I will say Yeah, this one. This is good. And here, up here, I press this. Okay. And I will change also the color because it's not good. I will put some yellow because it is about feeling good and sunshine and stuff like that. Maybe it's too yellow, and I will go here a little bit to make a green yellow, not a gray yellow. Okay, I like this one. And now I want to put it in the center, so I just hit V to go back to the move tool, and I grab it and I put it where I want. But I will, let me tell you something. When you make a Facebook cover photo, it's good if you can to have the title of the event on the middle of the image, because when people are seeing this event on Facebook from different type of tools, it has a better functionality, that title in the middle. I mean, people can see it easier if it's placed in the middle. So yeah, I move also these guys in the middle a little bit. I will erase a little bit more this side of the image to not have those lines like that. And then I will put this one in the middle. Maybe I will make it smaller. And I press enter. Okay. And I still don't like the color of the title because I want to make it more strong. Yeah, let's see how it works with, yeah, I will just use black. Maybe it's not the proper color for this kind of event, but anyway. And now I have to write the other text. I go back to the T and I press it once and I will say course for couples. I don't know if it is a capital or not. Couples with, no, without with. Good. And this is a second title which I will decide to make 50% smaller than the title, to let people know that there are not two titles, just one. So this is subtitle. So I will say this by choosing the right size. So usually if it's a subtitle, it has to be somewhere 50% smaller, but in this case it also it works even smaller. And I can change the type of font right here. Usually the rules of working with typography says, I mean, these are not written rules, but it works very well when you work with a thin, the combination between a thin font with a thick font. So let me see what other kind of font I could use. Yeah, let's put this one. Even if in the best version of this visual, the rapport between the sizes would be, how should I say it? So the main title should be stronger and the second title should be thinner. But now it works like this, it's okay. It's not a rule, it depends how you feel it. And for the color of the subtitle, I will choose the green from the image. Okay, and now I go back to V, and now I have to put some more information, such as who's the author, let's say, of this course, and I will just put my name, let's say. This course for couples by Flaviu Moldovan, which I put in another place. And I press Ctrl A and I have to change it. I will just choose again the thin font from Futura, and now I have to put it in the right place and to make it smaller. So I go in the corner of it, I make it very small, and I press enter, T again, Ctrl A, change the color, make it black, and enter, no, sorry, I press this one, and I put it right here, you see? So I go down a little bit with this image. Did you understand how I moved the image a little bit down? I selected it, I'm on V, I selected it, and I pressed Shift and down arrow and up arrow on your keyboard. Now it's left arrow and right arrow, but to have a faster move for the image, I have to press Shift, because otherwise it will go too slow. So yeah. And now we have to write a little bit more information, such as the date and the place. Let's write some fake dates. Let's say 09/03 and maybe 2020. Okay. I can go big with the date because it looks good sometimes, but it depends how I place it. If I put it right here, maybe it will work. But now I have to put something in mirror with this place, so I have to put something else right here to balance the image a little bit, you see? So let's put that is the date. Right here I will choose to put the date, and on the right I will put the hour, let's say 18, like that. And that's it, you see? I will just keep it simple with this. So, let's say that I want to make these two texts smaller and to make them exactly the same size. I have two ways to do it, or maybe more, but these two ways are right here. One of them is to be on the selection tool, move tool, sorry. You press on the one text and then keep shift pressed on the keyboard, and then press on the other one too. So now I selected them together, and I go into the corner of them, and I also keep shift pressed, and I change the size, and then enter. And now they are both smaller and they have the same size. So yeah, this is it. Now let's say that maybe this image has too much white in it. I have these two areas right here and right here that there are too white, so maybe I can put something to make a decoration or something, but that decoration has to have something to do with the subject. So let me go now to the mandalas, because I saved some images with mandala, and I will go to File, Open, and I just choose one of these, and I say Open. And it's opening into another document, but I know how to grab it and to put it into my document. Okay, I put this back, I go back to my document, and I have here a Jpeg image, which is a kind of mandala, and I want to place somehow a quarter of it right here in the corner. Not to go too big with it, because it will cover too much from my visual and it will attract the attention too much. So I put it right there in the corner, but I can see that I have a difference between this gray and white. Well, for this, Yeah, let me just double it and put it also into the other side. So now I will tell you how to duplicate an object into this cover photo. I just put this a little bit on the left. So let's say I want to double this text, the title. To do it very easy, you press first, you select every object that you want to double, you select it, and then press Alt, and as you can see, the cursor, or the, I don't know how to say, it's doubling, so when you grab it, you see, if you want to do it again, I press Alt, and then I grab it, you see, and I have many. Now I want to erase them, I just delete, delete, delete. So if I want to double this image, I go, I select it, press Alt, and then grab it. So I have the double. And now, there is a thing that is called, I don't know how, let me see if we have. So, there are some special effects that you can apply on images and especially on layers. So if you select one of these images and you go on the layer section right here and you see that your image is selected, now you can put some effects on that image by going right here. You see this down arrow, you press there and you choose one of these, let's say dissolve, and that puts an effect on this image and nothing is happening right now. But if I go on the others, multiply, nothing is happening. Yeah, let me show you something. I will put this image on top of another, because then you will have a better understanding about what I'm showing you here. So you just select this part and then go with the arrow. You see? Somehow this image is getting all types of transparencies. And I will just skip what I intended to show you, because I realized that this tool will not help me in this situation. I have to get rid of this gray part of the image. So because I have the white in the background, all of these effects that I showed you will not apply in this situation. So I will have to choose another tool. So if I select this image and I go on the toolbar right here and I have this magic wand tool, this is a tool that you can select in some kind of a way. I mean, you can select parts from an object. So I just grabbed that magic wand tool and I press right here in the gray part of the image. You see? A selection appeared around how should I say it? Yeah, you can see it. And now if I press delete, everything what was in between the selection stuff disappeared, you see? And now I have to do the same thing on the other one. So I go right here, select the image, I take the magic one, I put the selection on the surface that I want to erase. It will be selected, you see? The selection doesn't go to the part with the flower because it's stopping at at that line, at that stroke. So this part is selected, and I press delete, and the gray disappeared because there was a soft gray right there. So let's say that this is our image. Maybe these two images right here, they still are too obvious, and I would like to reduce the opacity a little bit. So I will press on each one right here, and then I will go right here. You see this layer is selected, and I have also opacity in the layer selection, and I will just put it on the left right there. I will choose 50%, okay, and I will have to do the same thing here, 50%. And maybe it's better like that. I'm not sure if it looks very good, but you can also move them and maybe put them in another place. But let's say that I made my artwork. So this is the final Facebook event cover photo that I created. When I'm working by myself and I'm having more time, of course I'm taking care of more aspects and the visual can look better. But now I just made very few actions on my images and stuff to be able to show you a few things. So this thing could be more nice, but yeah, in this short time, this is what is possible. Let me, if you are okay with me to just go for 1 minute and come back, I will explain you a little bit more about, I will go into a folder, let me show you, and we can talk a little bit more on the types of cover photos that I created in the past, and maybe show you some, I don't know, not tricks, but just tell you a little bit about how to communicate better.
Flavius?
Yes.
Flavio, you should show also how you can save it as a JPEG or PNG.
Oh yes,
so
yes, true. I have it right here into my schedule to also show you how to save this document, because it's very important how to save it to be able to upload it. When you end it up, or when you have the visual done and you consider that everything it's in place and you put all the information and stuff like that, the next step is to save the document. Very important. Thank you, Flavius. So, how do you save a document? You go here to File, up here, press it, and then from the other options we use New Document to make a new document. Then we use Open to open different documents to put in Photoshop, and now we will go to Save As. And yeah, before to save it, let me tell you something. Every document that, every Adobe tool that you use for making something, either it's a video, it's a photography, or it's a design document, you will have at least two types of results. First is the editing, First is the file that in which you edited everything, and that would be called something similar with the name of the software that you use. In our case, the document that has the qualities to be edited, I don't know how to spell this word, will be called the PSD document. And what this does, let's say that you finished the artwork and tomorrow maybe you want to add something else. If you didn't save it in this mode, in the editing mode, you lose the document and you can go back and activate these elements that you have here. So you have to save it to record your work and all the steps. So this is the first one. And then the other result is a JPEG image. JPEG refers to the images that can't be edited. But this is the image that you will upload in Facebook. The one that is compressed. Nothing is recorded right here in layers and stuff like that. So we have to save it in two versions right now. We will go up here and we will say Save As, and this window will appear, and it's okay the folder where I am, and I have automatically selected, you see, the Photoshop extension, the Photoshop mode. So first I will save it in this one, because if I want to go back to this document, I want to be able to do things, so I will save it. Okay, and now I have to save it also as JPEG. What is another difference between these two? If I send to somebody, to one of you, the PSD document to view it, and you don't have Photoshop, you are not able to view it. So I have to save it in JPEG, save as, and I choose from here JPEG, the simple JPEG, not JPEG 2000, just simple JPEG. Okay, and immediately the other documents that have the same extension as JPEG appear into the folder, and I say save, and I just go right here to the large file, but you can just leave it like that, and you say OK. And now if I'm going into the folder, I will have this, look, this is my folder. I will have these two documents, you see, the PSD, and the PSD has the icon of Photoshop, and the JPEG, which it gives me a thumbnail with the image that I made. So if now let me close Photoshop. I will just close it. If I press double click on the image, on the JPEG, I will just open it as a picture, and this is my image. If I double click on the PSD, it will open again as an edited document in Photoshop. So that is the role of these two extensions. Something is saying here, but you just say no. And you see, I have these things available to be modified and moved. And if you, let's say, made some changes, let's say this is the version, the new version that you want to accept, you will have to go here and press save as again, but I don't want to do that, so I will just close the document, and he will ask me, don't you want to save it? I will say no, because I saved it in the good version. So yes, let me see what I want to tell you some more.
I have a question.
Yeah, of course. Can I just stop the screen share a little bit, and then I go back? So
How do you? I know in Adobe Illustrator how it works, but in Photoshop, how do you transform the text into an object?
But you don't have to.
And what if you send a PSD file with a text a font you downloaded to somebody else who wants to work on the picture?
Nothing will change, but Photoshop will announce you that there are some fonts that are used in that document that you don't have. And he's asking you, do you want to change them automatically? And you will say no. And they will just stay in the shape of the fonts that you have, but you will not be able to edit them.
Okay.
But, and Vlad, you can do something similar as we do in Illustrator to create outlines, let's say. But in this case, it's called Rasterized Text, which means that you will rasterize, I mean, you will kill the functionality of the edited text, you know, and you don't have to do that because in that moment some pixels can appear there. So you will just leave it like that, you send it, and if they don't have the fonts, guys, did you understand what was the question, to be able to explain it again, because he has a good point. You want to explain it again? So let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. For example, Flavius wants to send me, let me share screen again, wants to send me this edit version of the document. That means he's sending me something that I can open and edit on top of his work, you know, or make changes, because I have Photoshop. But maybe he used some fonts that I don't have them in my computer installed. And Vlad was asking me what is happening in this moment. Or how can I send somebody documents like this with fonts that I have and the person doesn't have? What is happening? So Photoshop will just give you a pop-up in which will tell you, be careful, you don't have the fonts that this guy used into his, do you want to change them and put something automatically, or you don't want to change them? And you will say, I don't want to change them, but that means you will not be able to edit that text.
But you can move the text in the
Yeah, you can move it, but you can't write something.
Okay.
So you have to ask for the fonts also, because you can ask him. When he's sending the document, the PSD document, you can say, man, just send me also those two fonts, because I don't have them and I can't find them on the internet. So he will go into his windows. It's very simple. You want to see that?
Yeah.
I go in this PC here, and I have the windows, and right here I have all kind of things for Windows, and this folder is called fonts, and all my fonts will appear. So if you, let's say I want to send Vlad or to somebody Arial, I just click and then click right, I say copy, and I paste it in this folder. I paste it in another folder. Let's say, or you can take it straight from there, but I want to isolate it somehow. I go here and I go in this one and I put it in the fonts, paste. So I have all the Arial family, because it comes in many versions. One font can have father, mother, sister, daughter, blah blah blah. I mean, more versions, and it's called the family font family. And then when I'm going into the email, I open an email, I attach files, I come into this folder and I just attach these fonts to the email, and he will have them. And then he will do this. He will double click and press install, and that's it. Then he will have them in Windows. So it's very simple. Did you understand this part? Everybody?
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's helpful? Helpful? Yeah? Yeah? You have to practice a little bit, and you will see that when you will open the Photoshop, you will press things and it will happen a few things that you don't know what was happening, but all the time go back to V, press V on the keyboard, and that means the software will take you to the move tool, which is very helpful to be. It's like going back home, you know. You go into the city, you lost yourself, but you always have a thing to go back home. I don't know. So you will start again. And yes, there is practice here to start feel the software, what it does. It's a kind of behavior that you have to learn when you work with this. And then this behavior you will see. If you put your mouse on top of objects, all kind of messages are appearing as suggested actions that you can take. Or if you press Shift, Shift is somehow the magic keyboard. It helps you to do so many things. And yeah, then you have to press on each of the tools and to see what they can do. But the basic stuff is to import an image, then maybe clean it a little bit if you want to go in that state. and then put the text on top. As a beginner, I would do things like this. I would choose images with white background or with one color background to be able to put text on top of it without having the conflict between the colors. I mean, if you have areas, let's say, if I want to put the text on top of a canopy, tree canopy, I don't know. Of course, there you will have fluctuations of colors. In some areas will be dark, in others will be green, in others will be white. So if I put a text on top of it, the only text that will work, maybe it will be white, because otherwise if I have some white in the background, there where I have a white text and a white background, I will not see the text. So just at the beginning, pay attention how do you choose the images to be able to put the text on top of them and create contrast between text and background. This is very important. And then after you use all the tools, you will start to know how to edit, how to crop things, how to move things and stuff like that. But you can do it for sure. I mean, it's not that difficult. I know it was a lot of information for those who didn't open Photoshop before, but after you do it a few times, it will be very, very easy. And Mihaela, definitely, after we talked so much about your designs, you will know what to do.
I will never bother you again.
No, you can't bother me again, of course. It's not... No, if you get better at this, believe me, you will be happy, and everybody. Because you don't know what's happening around us, you know, I mean, a lot of changes, and to know a little bit of design, even when you are the customer, if somebody is telling you that it takes 2 weeks to make a cover photo, you will know that it's impossible to use so much time. I mean, what are you doing with 2 weeks? So that designer can't lie, or you can understand how much money you are giving to him for what he's doing, because you know the process, even if you're not doing it. So it's okay.
Yes.
Guys, if it was helpful for you, please give me a comment somewhere on Facebook. It's everything I asked from you. And another thing, I think I will do a course, but an online course. I'm not sure when it will be done, but if you need my advice in things, we can have meetings like this, and you can ask me for advice. If you have a project and you don't know how to solve things, yeah, you can call me and we can chat more on the subject. If you want, for another 5-10 minutes, we can go through some Facebook cover photos that I made, and to talk a little bit about what is good in them and how to observe things. As a designer, you have to understand ways of communication, and that means how to use images that go on the subject, how to use sizes in font and stuff like that. And you have to think a little bit. It's not just using the tool. So if you want, I can share my screen another 5 minutes, 10 minutes and talk a little bit. Yeah, you want?
Yes, yes.
Cool. Let's do it. So I will go through these things. So I will tell you the type of event. So this is a Facebook cover photo for an exhibition that I made for this girl, which is Maria Prudashka. She's an illustrator and she's doing drawings with this type of very thin lines, as you can see in this sample. So what did I do? I just chose a drawing from the series of drawings from the exhibition, the one that I consider that is most catchy as a visual, and I put it there. So as a decision in using the fonts in relationship with the image, one thing was very logic from the beginning. I couldn't use as you can see, my fonts, the text is written with very thin typography, with the logic that this part to not be in big conflict with the image. I mean, I just let the image to be there at first. If I was using too strong letters in relationship with very thin lines from the image, that could be, or that could go wrong, you see. But for the title, because I wanted to put the title in people's head, I did choose some stronger fonts, I mean thicker, but not that strong to go crazy. So, as you can see, to be able to highlight a little bit the type of the information that I have right here, I chose to write opening with a thicker font, and then I grabbed their attention when is the opening, so they were able to see that word easier because it was thicker, and for those that were interested, they just had to go in the second step. Okay, it's in May at 7 p.m. whatever. Then we had some logos and blah blah blah. I go to the next one. Here it was a course in which it was a drawing course. No. This one actually is the visual that I created for an exhibition as a result of a course in which we had as a subject for the course was drawing flowers. So it was obvious that I had to have as a visual a flower that we drew, or I used as a benchmark for drawing. And then, of course, the course was named the Temple of Flowers, but I had to be very, how should I say, precise into telling the people that this is an art show. It's the art show, it's not the course. So I used as the first word in the thing, vernissage, which is the art show. And then I put here, this is the result of the workshop, the painting workshop with Flavio Moldovan and guests. And here is the list with guests. And to be able to make, for this list with the artist, one trick that I used to let people read easier this group of words, I just chose to write the first one in one color, the second one in a contrast color, and then I was keep going like this. So it's quite easy to, the names stand out easier like that. Whatever. This is one of the designer's decision. Here, this is the visual of an art course, which is called Art Muse. So definitely I had to have a visual that has to do with the Art Muse, and what was more famous than the Mona Lisa? Nothing. So I chose to redraw Mona Lisa in a style, but to be comprehensive enough. And then I had here Art Muse, which is the name of the course. The subtitle is Course Painting and Drawing Course with Flavio Moldovan. And then to be able to show them somehow the structure of the course in a more infographic style, I choose to make this 4 squares. So I said 3 months course, 9 sessions, 5 hours each session, plus an art show at the end. So I think how should I say, I compressed the information in a very, very easy to read way. Of course, there was also a description text into the event where you could see all the details, but I just had to highlight a few things, so I chose this way. There is a thing in design called infographics, and this is the science of design that takes huge amount of data, and it's represented in very simple visual systems. Yes, I said it. So let's go. And then it's the deadline for the submission, and it's Flaviu Moldovan, which is the flaviumoldovan.ro/workshop, the place where they can submit or subscribe. So as a designer, if I was just putting deadline for subscription and without giving them the link where can subscribe, I could make a big mistake, because people, if they don't have everything into their eyes, they don't go on other websites to search where is this subscription blah blah thing. So I just had to, these two informations were pivotal to be one next to each other, and the logo of the Platon Gallery, which is blah blah, the organizer. Here was almost the same thing, but now it was the exhibition that with the result of that course. So somehow I used the same fonts from the other one, but I changed the format a little bit. I used the key visual, but I changed the background to be a little bit more obvious that it's something else, but still connected to something that was in the past. This is something else. This is one of my drawings. I highlighted the title with some rectangles here, and then because it's again drawing with thin lines, I chose to go with this thin typography. And if I wanted here to highlight some parts of the text right here, I chose to change the color and blah blah blah. This one, it's not a cover photo, it's something else. I will just pass it. This one, it's again the visual that promotes an art course, and this time was about contemporary art. I mean, I was invited people to make paintings and works that are inspired by contemporary painters. So because it was a painting course, I chose to use as a background a texture that goes to the canvas texture, the painting canvas texture. And then because it was about contemporary thing, I had to have the muse into a contemporary art symbol, which is the soup can of Andy Warhol, which is one of the icons of contemporary art. And then the same model I applied here to have a subtitle, and then to show them in easy steps what is all about. Here it's the same thing, but this is ambiental, no, this is interior design course. So I made this design for the course of a friend that is interior designer. So he asked me to use his couch into this visual, and I had to present those four types of information in a format that has to do with the interior design. So I just said, let me put some frames on the wall and put those informations and blah blah blah. This one is about lino cut, which is a gravure technique. Again, I tried to stay with all the visuals that I used in this cover photo in the area of lino cut. So if I will go into details with this, it will be complicated to explain how did I create these boxes and how did I create this logo and stuff like that. Yeah, this is another thing. Yeah, this is a a visual for an exhibition which was called Zodiac, because these three artists made works on the subject of astrology, so whatever. This one is exhibition of Lino Muse. This one is a webinar. I had to put myself there because I said everybody can draw, so I put myself there explaining how to draw. It was very obvious, and then I just worked in a nice way with the typography. Here it was a painting course that had as a source of inspiration two artistic movements, which was neoclassicism, and here on the left it's an example of neoclassical painting, and I just written right here in a very ancient classical style. I mean, I used a font that went very well with this style, and on the right was the Romantic period in art. So I mixed them together like they are the same image, and I created this middle part from all kind of pieces. For example, the woman that is standing on this rock, it's separate from the, how should I say, this part of the rock. And then Art Muse, I written it in the style like it's carved in stone, and with the type of font that goes very well with that period. Anyway, and then I came with the modern part on top to let people know that it's not something from an old book, but is something contemporary. So anyway, here it's another webinar in which I was talking about drawing faces, and I put myself into the background. I chose a picture very well here, with me explaining with that book in my hand, but this was a coincidence. I mean, I didn't plan in the moment that somebody made this picture to me that I will make a drawing faces course. But when I was having this idea to make the webinar about how to draw faces, I was searching the right image into my archive, and it was logic for me to choose this one because I was explaining to people how to draw faces, and you see the book opened at the faces section. And then as other decisions of design, I just adapted everything to the background that I had in place. For example, I created this box for the text. So this box allowed me to put a very soft pink, because I didn't have that dead gray on the background. I created this white box so the pink could have enough contrast to be visible. Then I used this dark blue because it was in the theme with the other part of it, and if I was putting it dark enough, it created enough contrast with the gray background. Then in this part of the picture, it was darker than this part. So I said, okay, if I would just put the white text and this soft pink, it will create enough contrast. So I was just thinking like this, you see? Here maybe maybe this part is not so visible, but as an importance into the, I don't know how to say this word, but as an importance into the communication steps, this has the least importance. So that's why it was just dropped there. White on gray is not too visible, but it's not too important. What was important was this one, free webinar drawing faces, and then when. So yeah, here I created a dark background because it's digital music, it's a graphic design course. I said, okay, I will create the dark background, but I have to put some graphic elements that you can create with these tools that I was talking about here. So I just created these things and I put them in the background. I put them in such a way to not to create too much noise, visual noise under the text. So as you can see, they are just around the visual, decorating the middle part. But the middle part, it's dark background and some clear text that creates enough contrast with the dark background in the middle. So everything is nice. And you see here I have the exact same scheme in communication. 3 modules, 3 hours each module, 1 hour every Sunday Zoom call, blah blah blah. This was changing a little bit, and the graduation day. I was not choosing the same cliche box style because I had to change it a little bit to make it more interesting. But I highlighted these things, creating a rule here. I said the number will be white, the first line will be blue, and the second one will be pink. And you can see these colors into the other. You can find these colors into the other parts of the visual. So it's an order in a way. Let me go back. Here it was something very, very simple. It was an exhibition called The Dialogue between Maniu and Brudashku. I gave them another solution, but they said forget about it, and we just went to this very, very simple template, which is one color in the background, everything is white on top. But it looks quite good. And why does it look good? As you can see, I chose a nice font, which is quite modern, and I didn't work with another font here. Everywhere I chose the same font. Maybe that's why this looks okay. This is another workshop. It was a workshop, yeah, they call it the Soul Workshop, whatever. It's a kind of bullshit, but anyway, they could call it drawing workshop or something like that, but they wanted to call, because this was in Bucharest, and I was invited to give a lesson in drawing to somebody, to some group of people. And what the better image I could use than this one, me explaining to somebody how to draw. And the rest is typography. Here is an art sale. I made a garage sale into my studio, and I just called it Big Art Sale to let people know exactly what it's about. And the rest is just material to create design. I mean, the rest of the text, it's not very important. The second thing important here is 30% off. Art sale, and what is the next thing that will grab the attention? How do you call it? This thing, people have the opportunity to buy something cheap.
Discount,
yeah. The next thing after art sale comes into their mind. I mean, not into their mind, but if you place the discount there, they will grab it. So, yeah. And then bye 2019 was just a way of saying I'm selling everything. Good. And here, yeah, it's the visual of the art course that I created a few weeks ago. And I used again a picture with me that it's made in London at the museum. And at the beginning, the picture was, you see the left part, it's with the classical paintings. The entire picture was with the classical paintings, but what I did, I took another image from another gallery and I placed it on top of the one with me, and I cropped half of me, and I created the illusion that I'm looking in the same time at
two walls. The one it's modern or contemporary, and the other one it's classic. Because I wanted to communicate to people that this workshop or course will have as a subject of inspiration from the classical art until the contemporary or the pop art. So yeah, it was just a way of, and again, that's that scheme of 3 months, 5 hours, 9 weeks, blah, blah, blah. Now I chose to write it differently. Here is the logo, the course, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so yeah, we came to an end. Okay, so guys, I want to thank you very much for being here, and I hope this was very helpful.